Every once in a blue moon, we as fishermen actually get something that we ask for. And in this case, it took years and years of begging, pleading, forum posting, Facebook posting. There's probably a tweet somewhere in the mix as well. But after what had to have been 5 or 6 years, Yozuri finally listened, and this is what they came up with. A big ass mag darter. Just don't call it a darter. So what I want to do today is show you an up close, detailed view of how the new mag darter compares to the old. And in addition to that, I really want to see what's on the inside. So here we go. Now, for safety's sake, let's get them hooks off. We'll take a look at the hardware in a little bit. And just so you guys know, this is some heavy duty hardware. There is no need at all to upgrade this hardware. If you guys have been paying attention to Yozuri lately, they have stepped up their game in terms of the components that they're using. Even their freshwater stuff, spectacular hardware. Look at that. That's a bait. Now what you'll see, if I move the older Yozuri forward in the image, so that way the perspective kind of makes it look larger than it really is, there really isn't that much of a difference. The cutout's a hair different. The details in the gill plate behind the eye are a hair different. But everything else, look at that. Virtually identical. Look at the hanging hardware. It's really like twice the size. I feel bad cutting this one in half. I really do. Just to give you an idea. But whatever you guys do, I can't emphasize this enough. Don't call any of these a darter. Don't do it. Well, gentlemen, without further ado, Let's get this party started. Let's see. It looks like it's through wired, so let's see if we can't pick a side and stick with it. Now, there are no instructions on how to do this. Let's see if she'll crack. A little bit. Well, she's through wired. This one has proven me a little bit trickier than the other one. Come on. Come on, come on, come on, come on. The center section seems to be all right. Now let's holding her up. There we go. Oh, look at that. That's pretty fancy. Ho ho ho. That's badass. There is a lot going on in here. I'm not sure how many of you guys have ever cut apart a plastic lure before, but this is a very well designed bait. Wow. I mean, in all seriousness, a Ninja Turtle from Toys R Us is not much different, if we're being fair and honest. But yeah, this is pretty it's pretty intense. There's a lot of cross bracing going on in here. And it's kind of like a clear polycarbonate, so it may not show up all that great. But can you see? And look how thick the plastic is. Good job, Yozuri. I don't impress much, especially over plastic. Well, Pamela Anderson was pretty impressive back in the day. Wow. So, good job, Yozuri. I wonder how it compares to the SP Minnow. Oh. Get. Hotel. Yeah, I did that with an SP Minnow too. This is the new 17F. That'll be in the next video. So, back to what we have in front of us. This is an overbuilt plastic lure. Guys from Rapala, guys from Bagley, guys from Bomber. You guys got to take notice. This is a very sturdy, very heavy, overbuilt plastic plug. Yeah, it's got a weight transfer system. The magnet here stays in the chin. And these little steel balls fire towards the rear on the cast. And what's nice about this, can I get that to reseat itself? That's got to be closed up tight. Pretty cool. Slides right down the track. It's a little chewed up, so it's not sliding that smooth. There's a little lip right there. That's how she works. Now, on to the hardware. These are owner grade hooks. maybe not quite ST76, but man, these things are strong. I can't even. I'm not the strongest gorilla in the jungle, but there's not much flex in these. They're super sharp. They're not super sharp. They're VMC sharp, which is... Now back to the hardware. These are not what I would call your average hooks. There is no flexing these at all. None. These are owner 6X, VMC 6X quality. Owner ST 66. What's the highest one? The 76? Nothing was really on par with them, so we'll say they're 66 quality. They're strong. These are good hooks. If anybody tells you on the internet you gotta upgrade them, no way, no how. Unless for some reason they have a defective batch. Man. Compare them to a 4X VMC. Yeah, it's a smaller size. But let's see if I have one next to me that's the same size. And that's side by side. Yozuris are a bit heavier gauge. It's pretty impressive. And the split rings? Yeah, these are good rings. That took some effort to get to snap with these medium-sized Texas tackle split ring pliers. Strong rings. Yeah. I would definitely call these 150-pound rings. $125 to $150, legit. Not that BS that you buy with tsunami crap. And all through wired. Now, what they did here is good. If you see, the wire sits in a channel. Some plug companies, what they do is, Sabile, I'm talking to you, they'll advertise as a through wire, but the wire just hangs out in no man's land. Comes to the front just like that. They put that little end loop. Runs on the inside of the belly of the plastic. The bend comes out here for the hanger and continues down on the inside of the belly of the plastic, out the rear, and the same little L coming up to lock it in place. Strong, definitely, but what happens all the time with the design that Sabile uses is water gets in the plug, and now you have, essentially a loaded plug. Only it's loaded with salt water. You bang it on a rock, water's getting in your plug. And the only way I have found to remedy that with, the big giant bongo jerks, which are essentially a plastic football, is you got to fill them with foam. That's a pain in the ass. Nobody wants to drill a 1/4-inch hole in the top of the plug, mix up that expanding foam that the master of all masters, Larry Dahlberg, uses to make his foam plugs, and then squirt that shit in there. Nobody wants to do that. You just want to throw the plug in the garbage, or, hell, not deal with it. Now this design here, even if it takes a hit, all this through here on the inside, it doesn't go plastic, wire, internal chamber. It goes plastic, wire, more plastic again. You can see on the opposite side, look how effing thick that plastic is. That's solid all through here. See that? The wall thickness of this is twice that of the top half. So this wire is fully encapsulated. That's pretty impressive. And what ends up happening is, I don't know if I'm guessing they sonic weld it. So they lay it together, and it goes in some sort of weird chamber that's probably from the future. And then it gets welded together. Very impressed with this plug. Oh, and it swims nice too. A little bit different than the old one. Oh, look, I could go inside it. Oh, cute. It's a little guy. Big mag darter just ate the little mag darter. Admit it. Y'all wanted to do that. You dreamt of doing that. You know it. Alright, so if you made it this far, this is going to be a treat. This section of the video I call uselessly informative. And the objective here is to cram as much useless informative information into the last segment of the video as quickly as possible. So, when I was talking about the hooks and the hardware, I mentioned how strong these hooks are and how they compared to the VMCs and owners. Don't have the owners ST66s on me at the moment. I don't use them very much because I went to the singles. So one important thing with single hook replacements is trying to match up the weight. On small baits it's important. On big baits like these it makes no difference in my opinion. To a point. If you go with a hook that's way too heavy or way too light in comparison to what the stock hook or in comparison to what the lure was designed to work with, you could run into some issues. It might burn out in current easier, they might not track right, there may be too much ballast and you lose some of that wiggle, whatever. But for this plug, size 7.0 owner single hook replacement. This one here, here's the model number. 4102, 179. This is a 7.0. And and since we're just full of useless information at the moment, 2.44 millimeter diameter. On the flat, since these are, I guess, forged, they're flat forged because that's a thing. So 2.81 and 2.42 because that's important. This is the hook that comes stock on the Yozuri. 2.06 squeeze. And these calipers are as accurate as anything ever manufactured in China can possibly be. Alright, so the owners are definitely heavier gauge. Very strong hooks. And to compare them, and again, I'll go back to the owner hook or the Yozuri hook in a second, just to give you a comparison. Hi, Mr. RV. You've seen better days. And what is up with these plug flippers on the internet? You used to be able to buy these RV plugs for like 20 bucks. Now they're like 60. It's like, I hate you people for trading and hoarding plugs because you cost me more money. Here's a plug for RV plugs. shameless. Alright, so the only reason why I brought that plug out is because the hooks on it were the same size. Alright. The one on the Yozuri may look a little larger, give or take. I mean, it's close. I mean, nobody's sizes are directly comparable, but it's close. So, once again, break out old trusty calipers. Look, they read 0 when they're close, so that means they're good. 2.06. Remember that, because I won't. 2.06. Works for me. Please be thinner. Oh, thank God. Yeah, so 2.06 versus whatever this is. We're just going to go with this number here. That's a 4X VMC from probably 2005 or 6 or 7, something like that. This is, you know, this isn't the original hook. This isn't the original hook on the plug. It's been upgraded, but this is from an older batch of VMCs. God knows how VMC is making hooks nowadays. So we got 1.81. Versus 2.06. And because I can, 5.5 grams. Because I'm an idiot, take the magnet off. 4.4 grams. 4.4 grams versus 3.2. 4.4, 3.2, because in America we round down when the 100th digit is above a 5. So yeah, 3.3. 3.3 versus 4.4. There's a lot more metal in that hook. And for reasons that I don't know, that's probably better. But now, in all seriousness, this is a much more sturdy hook. I mean, I can flex the VMC a little bit. I can't even budge that. But the real reason I brought out the gram scale is not because I'm selling drugs, but just to give you a weight difference between the treble at 4.4 and the single at 3.9. That's pretty damn close for a matchup. And you can see, look at there's a lot more bite to that. Now, single hooks are a completely different subject. I've installed 500 singles, 400 singles on all my freshwater plugs, and amazingly, these split ring pliers are still chooching. They're still in perfect shape too. But what you'll find with, let me just get this treble off to give you an idea without hooking myself. So much for useless information in a short period of time. We're getting fancy. Give me 1 second. I'm trying to do this quick, but I'm doing it through a viewfinder. So divide my speed by 2 because I'm not looking directly at what I'm doing. Again, it's a little bit thicker, so it's a little bit more challenging. There's a point to why I'm doing this, I I promise you, I wouldn't just waste your time, because watching a half-hour long video about cutting a lure in half is time well spent. Alright, so, boom. That's what you'd be looking at. Now, this is the key. You see this? A lot of times, on smaller plugs, you run the risk of this bottom hook, if you go too big, hanging. This 7.0 works perfectly. It's not going to hang. I mean, what I'm doing here is never going to happen in the water, and any movement or jarring of the plug will set it free. So size 7.0 is a match made in heaven on the Yozuri mag darter, 165F. So once again, this 7.0 and hey look, because more use of some, hold on, my camera's about to turn off.